Hello YouTube chess lovers and my friends, this is Gunjan here, and today I'm going to show you a trap in a French advanced variation. The advanced variation start when white's kickstart with the e4 and black responds with the e6, and the line continues with the d4, d5, and here white close to center with the e5. Black general response is quickly undermine the white pawn chain by playing c5, and the general line continues with the moves like c3, but our trap line is continue with the knight to f3. As a French player, you don't really want to capture that d pawn. You would more prefer rather putting your queen on b6 and knight on c6, where it pressurizes more on the d pawn. And before going into this trap, let me tell you something. Nowadays there are lots of 5 minutes and 3 minutes game have been playing, and in those games what generally people tend to do is they come out with their favorite pet lines or their favorite 6-7 moves. So what they try to achieve by doing that is they just want to save some time in opening, so where they can spend some more time in the middle game, and here where this kind of traps are really effective. So I strongly recommend you that if you're playing a blitz or the 3 minutes game, just shock your opponent with this kind of trap. Okay, earlier as a French player, they more prefer at this point they more prefer moves like queen to b6, and the usual line continues like pawn to c3, knight to c6, and here white has a nice cunning move which is bishop to d3. And if the black is not aware of this scenario, and maybe white can trick him. For example, if the black thinks that he can win a pawn here, like pawn takes pawn and white captures back, and if the black knight take this pawn, white knight can immediately take the knight, and here if the black queen take this knight, black loses the queen by this deadly bishop check. So that's why nowadays there is a modern way to tackle this. So as a French player, what they do is play a moves like bishop to d7 after we play knight to f3. So what this move does is like it's just a preparation move for queen to b6 and knight to c6, and also is block a deadly check of the bishop. So the another way to think is black is just a waiting move, which is hoping that white do some kind of mistakes and he can jump on it. And here white will continue with the d3, bishop to d3, and if the black continue with his favorite pet lines like knight to c6, then we can shock him with this move knight to g5. And especially when you're playing 5 minutes or 3 minutes game, the immediate response from the black is just kick this knight. What is actually doing here? Well, maybe as a black player you think that white is after that h7 pawn, so why not kick this knight? And if they play a move like h6 or the f6, they will come to a blunder house, and here our chess trap works. So as a white, you will play queen to h5, and now you see that that pawn cannot take the knight because it's pinned, because for example, let's say black take this knight, then we can capture the rook and we are exchange up. And not only that, here white is threatening a f7 mate. Now there are two ways to defend this. Let's take the first option, which is the worst option, is like moving this pawn further. Well, here white can simply take this pawn by bishop, and if the let's say black capture this bishop, then we can capture by the queen, and this is check, and king has only one place to go where it checkmated by the white. And for instance here, if king don't want to capture that bishop and he wants to move over here, then we can simply take this pawn. It's just a forking queen and a rook, so white will have a nice game from here. But it's not always the case. As a black player, you might think, okay, it's not a big deal, I can save this f7 checkmate by putting my queen over here, e7. But here white has another shocking move, which is simply capture this pawn by the knight. And now the black will, like, wake up from his dreamland, because he probably now realized that he is in serious trouble, because that knight is untakeable. If the black by mistake take this knight, he simply loses the queen by the bishop. So that knight is untakeable. And I just want to have a look. Let's say if you are black and if you fall into this trap, how you feel. Look at the black queen, or like king side pieces. This king is stuck here. It cannot do a queen side castle. This queen is also stuck. It has no place to hide. This bishop is behind this queen and a pawn, so it cannot move. This knight has no place to go, and this rook is just waiting that been captured by the knight. It's just a hopeless position in just 8th move of the game. So this is really terrible. And that was the first option for the white. And let's say here, if the black play, instead of h6, he play f6, then here white will still continue with the queen check. And if the king goes to the, let's say, e7 square, this is straight away checkmate. And if black decided to play the g7, then we will take this pawn by the bishop. And if the king move over here, we already see in the previous game that we can move this knight over here, but in this case it's not a walkout. So white has to play this, capture this at 7, and white will have a good game from here. And the other option is, let's say here, if the black capture this bishop by mistake, then still it will be checkmated by the white. So this is a really nice trap, and I can't tell you how many people are fall into this trap. I have seen people rated over 1700 easily fall in this trap. So just try this trap in your, especially if you're playing 5 minutes or the 3 minutes game, and it really works. Feel free to comment on my video, and thank you for watching my video. See you, bye.